Hi guys, I'm Oliver.
Hi, I'm Steffi.
Yeah, I'm sure some of you already recognise us, so it's not the first webinar we do here at Frontify.
That's true.
Really excited to be part of the next one, which today we're going to be focusing on Frontify from A to Z, really trying to give you an overall overview of what Frontify offers and the complete product suite. That Steffi is going to be showing you in more detail over the next 40 minutes. And at the end, we're going to have some time for some Q&As as well. So as you see, I'm just going to go offer you a quick introduction into the world of Frontify, tell you where we come from and what we do. Then we're going to jump in a demo mode where Steffi is going to be focusing on all the different modules that constitute our enterprise offering. And obviously, if you have any questions, just reach out to us, and we'll also be happy to get back to you at a later stage as well if any questions pop up at a later stage. And at the end, I think it's really important as well is listening to the client, and so we've also got a Q&A round for you guys to really ask your questions. Our vision of Frontify is to assist our customers in building the world's most consistent and strongest brands. And I think that's, regardless of sector, I think everyone has the same pain points and challenges in today's digital society we live in. And it's really important that you have a tool which really helps you on a daily basis overcome all those challenges. And our mission is to provide the best and most user-friendly brand management platform, enabling anyone to create compelling and consistent brand experiences out there in the market. And I think that's something we try and really help our clients on an individual basis, but obviously based on a framework which we're going to be showing you now. The idea of Frontify is a centralized or a central cloud-based brand management platform, which is not just should not just be easy to use within an organization, but also when you start growing your brand and start involving growing stakeholder groups and external ones as well. Everyone should have access to the same information, not just from internal departments, but obviously also external agencies, the press, freelance photographers, anyone who's working with your brand as well. And all those different modules that Steffi is going to show you in a minute should work together, and it should be really easy to use, but also easy to maintain.
And that's the main point, I think, in Frontify, what you just mentioned in the mission.
Maintainability, exactly. Absolutely. So everyone's basically singing off the same hymn sheet, but also everyone's basically consuming the same information. So powerful brand experiences. So this is what we're going to be showing you first. So obviously everything revolves, I'd say, around the guideline, or the style guide, as we like to call it here at Frontify, don't we, Steffi? Which is basically replacing this traditional, static PDF and bring it into the 21st century, bring it into the modern age. So that's kind of what we refer to when we talk about brand guidelines, which is obviously the identity, the rules, and where you're storing all your content, basically. And then on top of that, you can add the cover page, which Steffi's going to start with after. And then beside that, you've obviously got your UI pattern library, which enables you to involve your developers into the whole branding topic. We've also got a digital asset management solution, which we like to call Media Library, don't we, Steffi?
And we do, actually.
We're going to show you that as well, of course. We've got a collaboration workspace, which is where you can really kind of create your projects and involve different groups into different projects and get all your work going, be it a website redesign, be it any kind of new app development. You can build your prototypes, etc., etc. And finally, coming from the collaboration workspace, we've also got which is kind of our new edition. Okay, we're still in the final kind of beta testing phase at the moment. That's something that Steffi can tell you more of after, but which we call Publisher, which is kind of our templating solution as well. So yeah, and all this kind of together forms this brand portal, which we're going to be showing you now, which is kind of what we at Frontify try to help you guys with. So let's dive deeper into the solution, and Steffi's going to take over now.
So I quickly switch into my browser, and I have already a page open here, which I would probably see if I'm an end user navigating to the site, having provided by my super user, whatever, by my brand team. And monobrand is a very specific brand you might not recognize. You might recognize from previous webinars, but it's our own brand. We kind of developed for exactly this use case to show Frontify in a really nice way.
So if you don't recognize the brand, it's not a big thing.
Yeah.
It's our in-house brand, I like to call it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So where I'm landing as an end user, I'm still the end user, kind of who consumes most of the guidelines. I have this really cool looking page. It's we call it the cover page, Oliver just mentioned. And here I can really build an emotional bridge into my brand. I can tease a lot of different areas of my brand portal. really get with text, video, and images kind of work towards showing my values of the brand. What I can see also here, I would straight away be able to switch into a different language. All our enterprise portals are multi-language. You can have as many languages as you wish, and the end user, you know, they wouldn't go probably into navigating now too much. It's mostly search driven.
Why scroll through 300 pages of PDF when you can pretty much find it with a few clicks and
navigate straight into it? So, and they're all in context, you know, where they appear, etc. So that's just a really quickly how the end user would see it. Obviously, if we switch now role into a super user, we would have this left-hand bar, and we call it power bar, but that's basically a menu where you can really control now certain aspects.
When you say super user, just from my perspective here, Steffi, I know I've done a lot of demos as well, so I'm not gonna, like if I didn't know, but we like to call them as well, obviously editors, you know, giving you the ability to really edit your content within your portal.
Yeah, and I mean, I can, first of all, I could straight away switch into an editing mode maybe here already in the cover page. And that's all, I just hit Command E basically, or hit
Control E as well for PC users.
Yes, absolutely, that's really important. And what appears is really this end-line editing. We call it, it's kind of what you see is what you get. So everywhere where these blue marks appear now, you can click on, and I basically have full CMS capabilities, functionality here, and can build together a really nice entry page into my portal. We, you know, provide it with lots of templates, image on text, text on image, so you don't need any coding.
So very, very customizable, very easy to use.
Absolutely.
I think that's really important as well.
So I just go back into my view mode. So the first thing I want to show you now, navigating out of this portal is, of this cover page, is probably the style guide. As Oliver said, it's our heart piece. It's really the fundament of our brand, where you define, document your brand. So it's really important. So here we have a bit of a structure. So we always have here the top navigation, which are different documents. I'm here now in the style guide. And then I have a left-hand navigation with categories, pages, and sub-pages. So I have
which you can also easily scale, right? So
absolutely.
you can customize. Obviously here we've prepared a nice area, and it's got all the functionality that you might be requiring, but obviously, you know, if you wouldn't need maybe a logo library, an icon library, again, you could really have it tailored to meet your specific requirements, basically.
Absolutely. So here I just, you know, I have a few things about the mono brand, like explaining it a little bit, and it's jumping down on the page. I have a little bit behind the brand, and then I would straight away go into my basics in the brand. So I have here my brand logos, for example. I have some logo variations, which I can show here. There's an image grid. I have here some attachments of the logo in all the different file formats for my users to straight away download in the right file format. So
it's a question of reducing complexity and finding the elements that you're looking for very quickly. You know, if you're a designer, for example, it's important that you can get cracking with your design work and not have to kind of spend time finding, you know, elements which might not be the right ones that you're looking for, etc., etc. So this also gives you that guarantee that everything's consistent, but also, and more importantly, up to date.
Absolutely. So here also, you know, every brand has a color. So colors are really important. So here what I want to do is now switch into the role as the editor, as we said before. And I don't want to work alone now on my guidelines, because I think that the value of Frontify is as well, you can really work together on keeping the guidelines up to date, so making it living and breathing.
Collaboration is a good word.
Yeah, that's actually a good English word for that.
So basically favor collaboration within a team, not just the branding team, but as I mentioned before, you know, with anyone who's got a stake in the whole branding topic.
Yeah, for that I go back into my power bar here, and I click on the little icons there, and I'm gonna invite now Oliver, because he's really good creating style guides. And I would invite him via unique email address. It's really hard to type without the computer.
Trying to share the screen here.
So once I have the email, I then can Define a role for Oliver. Every role is linked to a permission set, so I have to view it and translate. I can only change content. The editor who can build up the guidelines, and the owner who does all the user administration within Frontify.
And maybe just quickly from what we mentioned before, Steffi, if you click again on this role setting here, I think for you guys, we mentioned before, editors, owners and translators would also be considered to be editors, but obviously a translator would be responsible for the multi-language option,
yes,
which we showed you before, and Yoda would be kind of the owner of the style guide, who's a bit more, it's more of a, I'd say, administrator, role, which means that you're also responsible for, managing the whole well-being of the style guide, if you like.
Absolutely. What I could do here as well, if you were an external employee, I could, define the valid, this access valid from to, and of course, you'll be thrown off the platform after that. And we can also, of course, link with your single sign-on as well, if that's needed. I could invite you now. What we could also do is we can manage with group settings. So if you have agencies and internal employees, so we can group them and manage access levels at this stage. And now I'm gonna go again in the edit mode. And what I do here now is I wanna maybe add a different color. What color would you like me to add?
Well, let's say black, for example.
Yeah, simple. So what I do now is I click on one of these blue and white pluses, and what appears is really the heart piece of the style guide itself. So these are the smart content blocks, and we have over 40 of these. So they're like little CMS Lego, how you build up your guidelines now. And we won't go into too much detail because we don't have time.
Well, unfortunately, we only have 40 minutes.
Yeah, but we have, from standard ones like divider one, personal load, to colors, typography, media, UI, and content code. But I show you some of them. So first of all, a color one would be really cool to have. And let's type in some black here. Nope, that's the white. Sorry. And here we have the black. As you've seen above, we can add all
the different color systems, right?
Yeah, we can have different views of the colors, so list or card view. So we are totally free. Below you see lots of different content blocks that we have already added. Here the different shades and the color swatches, which you can easily download into your Photoshop. Now we have a full integration with Sketch, so you wouldn't need to create such a color swatch, but you can have, once you activate the plugin, you have it automatically available within your Sketch, all the colors.
Which means that you wouldn't need this, this specific color swatch which Steffi was showing you before.
Yeah. Another content block I want to show you is the typography. Every brand has a typography. I have here standard ones which you can have previewed. You don't need to have it for download promoted here, but you could say, oh, please email Oliver if you want to have the download of the typography, etc. But we can do that.
Obviously, that's also really important, especially from a licensed font perspective.
Yeah,
if you
absolutely.
don't want people to be using it, then you can restrict that and then ask them to request it on demand.
But you can have a nice preview, and then once you have done your basics, you could go into the design setting and make your guidelines even more yours. You can apply your font, you can define headings, custom text, you can define your colors, which are all interlinked, with the colors you just defined. So you can really style the guidelines to your needs. There you have the buttons for the cover page, you can reuse, etc. So you're being very consistent in building up your guidelines. Mm-hmm. Another two blocks I want to show you really quickly is the photography one, and there's a cool content block I really like for package shops or web designs. You can really describe here with annotations block, so you can really enumerate and describe what you're seeing on the picture. You can have lots more bubbles of this. You can define the bubble color, etc.
So make it very visual and not just
Absolutely.
rely on text, which is not always very popular with viewers.
Yeah, and everybody is just talking about the same thing in the end. Mm. And the last I want to show you, one of the last of the 40, is a really cool one. It's a recent addition to do's and don'ts block.
There's a T missing actually at the top. That's a good. Exactly.
Oh,
just a little typo.
Oh yeah.
Something you can quick edit, exactly.
So there we go. And what I could do, I have some do's here I upload, and then I have some don'ts below, and I can easily just define with a strike through that this is the don'ts, and it's something you don't have to do in Photoshop or InDesign anymore.
So basically, it's a predefined content block which enables you to really define what's correct, what's not correct, and really tell people what they should be, wary of, and what's consistent and what isn't within your guidelines. So very quick and very easy, I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I want to show here, I wouldn't go into too much more detail into this area. What I want to show you here as well, we have full analytics. It's, as Oliver mentioned, it's a cloud platform, so we have full analytics available. So who downloaded what when, and we didn't
activate it here in a demo environment. But again, I think that's really important, especially today, to see who's downloading what, how well the logo's performing. Our logo's not being downloaded at all, so it gives you that kind of indication that you might need to actually do something about it, and basically keep track of how well your brand is performing overall.
And this, yeah, absolutely, because I think it's also a justification piece for investing in a brand platform. You see, the uptake of it and which areas should really push. What you can have here as well, you have full change log capabilities, who changed what, etc. And you can of course share. Then you could share via public links. So this means you just provide a link for certain areas. You could have kind of parent-child portals, and build smaller portals for journalists, for agencies, etc.
And maybe just quickly for our viewers, so obviously every time you create a style guide, it's going to be a closed environment. But if you did want to open it up and make it public, then you could obviously generate this so-called public link, and then just reshare that link within your newsletters or your websites, and then anyone can access it without being manually invited on the editor side, if you like.
And this actually brings me to a very good point. If I go back into the edit mode up here, I have different documents up here, and I could really, on a document level and on a content block level, define where this block is shown.
And on a page level as well. So it's very granular, basically.
Yeah, so I can do both things. I could really define it from there, so top down, or I could really create parent-child guidelines, have them look and feel completely different, and kind of have reference copies. I manage them very easily. So I have both options very easily available. So I'm going to switch now, because we have talked a little bit about the guidelines. What I didn't show you is the icons here. And I didn't do that actually, because we just launched very recently our own icon library. Which is
is this a premiere?
Yeah, it actually is. So it's an icon library, as you probably know it. So a lot of our clients, we really listen to our clients, what they really want to get out of Frontify. And one of them was the icon library. And it's basically another document. You can also integrate it directly into Style Guide. So that's something you can decide. You can have different collection, tease it up here. Now this is the front end, the back end where it's managed and administrated and lives out in your brand space. And I won't go into detail.
Maybe Steffi, just one quick question. Why did we even develop an icon library? Maybe a bit of background on that respect. That used to be the icons used to be managed within the guideline, which Steffi showed you before. And obviously, I think icons are becoming very, very popular, and a lot of clients have a lot of them, and it's important that they're able to manage them efficiently, and independently from the rest of the guidelines. So kind of that's how we added the icon library, I'd say, into our roadmap, and that's what Steffi's showing you, what she's showing you now.
And if we click on one of them, for example, you see here, that's one of the big features, not just the view mode of the whole icons, but it's also, you have different formats available for download. You have different colors, which you promote for download of these icons. So you can do a lot with this icon.
Which again would be the colors that you'd be using in your guidelines, so that everything is going to be consistent as you grow, basically.
Yeah. Really quick.
Before we do that, Steffi, there is one element which I did think we should show. If you go back to the style guide, and that's what I thought you were referring to before. You mentioned the referencing element, but there's also an important element which we've also added. I'd say I think it was released. We released it last October. It's the target functionality, which we discussed as well.
Yeah.
So maybe just quickly on that. Obviously, I know as well, because a lot of my clients it's an element that they really like. But basically, with targets, which is this little icon here, you're also able to restrict different users, different access within the same guideline. And that was something that, previously you had to do by basically creating, multiple guidelines, which you then shared with different groups of users. Now with the target functionality, as Steffi showed you before, for example, if she wanted to restrict the icon library and keep it just intern, she could then basically, if you just go into Command E, you can really define at the bottom here. You guys are probably wondering what this is. So you can really, as a default, everything's going to be visible for everyone, but then you can micromanage that on the granular level. That's what I was referring to before. It can be done on a page, on a content block level, or on a document level, like here. And then you can really make sure that only the people who should be seeing elements are able to see them, and others won't even see that there's an element here called icon library within the guideline.
Absolutely, and you can then could simulate that for the super users, or your editor to really see and can control what people see and simulate that accordingly. Not input from you?
No, I'm good, Steffi.
Okay, that's perfect. So next thing, I'm gonna go to the logo library. That's also a newest addition. It's especially for really big brands, who have a lot of different logo formats, different logo applications. We created the logo library, which is similar to, what you experience just in the icon library, or what you will experience in the media library. So it's basically our own library for your logos. You can create relations between logos. You can create a main logo pack, which you can promote here for download. You can mark your main logo and all the related logos, for example. So that's a really cool feature for especially very big brands.
I think maybe this monobrand example is not maybe the best example, because obviously we don't have that many logos which are related to this brand, but a lot of our clients as well have multiple sub-brands, which means that implies a lot of different colors, a lot of different logo types, formats, you name it, and that would then also mean that maybe the logo library would be a great way to manage it efficiently and make all the logos easily available for the user.
Especially when you look at co-branding, and things like that. It's really helpful. Exactly. So the next thing I want to really show you is the media library, which we have some additions as well. In the media library, it's really. We developed the media library, or the digital asset management system within Frontify, in a way how people used to consume, stock providers like Getty Images have their libraries really clean look. You have here a few collections up there, but then you see the images. There's no huge navigation tree you have to navigate down or whatever. So if we, again, here in the view mode, what the viewer would see, it looks very clean and nice. So what you would then start either looking for a search term, or you would straight away navigate into these different filters, because you want to go for a specific market or for a specific environment, and then you could drill down. Again, this is something new, a feature called collections. This is something you can either provide from the back end into the front end. So for new campaigns, etc., you can your super user or your editor can create collections for you, or you can create your own collections. For example, let's say we want to do a city collection, and
very cool picture.
And we add some more to it, maybe a city-related one. That's very city, isn't it? We add that to the city.
So if you're saying your own collections, they become basically private collections.
Yeah, absolutely. They're private collections. What you can do then, you see them with this little toggle. That they are your private ones. You can click into them. I don't have much in them, but you get the idea. And what you could do, you can download them all together now, or you could share. And this is really where we're trying to go away from all these Dropbox accounts, WeTransfer, where you kind of lose a little bit of control over your assets. We want to be able to share assets, media assets, without having to invite people maybe to the brand guidelines. So this is a perfect way to do so. I can create a collection link, and I just copy this link. I could even give temporary access, so the link would time out after a week, for example, if I want to share with my agency, and if I just.
So very similar, what you can see as well from the visual, but it's very, very similar to what we showed before with the public link within the guideline.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just copy that now in an incognito window. And you see how it would appear now for the person on the other side. They can download the assets, they can preview the assets. So it's really cool feature, I say.
It's a very practical DAM functionality,
absolutely.
which you would expect, you know, in order to really work efficiently.
Absolutely. So I go back here. I want to show you some more things. Obviously, what I could do. Obviously, this is all customizable. It's an out-of-the-box product. Our media library, you can configure everything yourself. We even could configure, you know, if you don't like this search functionality up here that much, we could go into, and obviously only the editor can do that. We can do something really cool and go into the pilt view, for example, if you prefer that a little bit more. So we have all these different metadata now available in this pilt view.
It does look cleaner based on the amount of filters that you had before in the environment. So I think this is actually not a really nice feature as well.
So what we can do now, we could search for a term, and I like searching for girl. You know, we could now drill down in all these different areas. But let's go back and search for a term we might not have in here. Let's say we don't have a dog. So we could also include stock providers in the search, say, for example, Unsplash, royalty-free, so we like to include them. But that's something you can set up in the back end, you have full control as a super user, and that's something you can set up within a couple of clicks. And really, if you don't have your own photography, that many stocks available, you could then increase the results for end users very quickly by including them.
And at the same time, still having this whole centralization aspect, which makes it easy to use and not have to have all these different different websites open at the same time, finding what you're looking for, but you can really centralize this within Frontify as well.
Absolutely. So is there anything you want to?
I think that's very clear. I think the other thing is, you know, DAM is a really important pillar, I'd say, of the Frontify solution, and it's important that, you know, as companies are going to grow and as a brand grows, you know, there's going to be more and more content coming in, especially, you know, images is a great example, but, you know, we're talking here, it could also be videos, it could also be different file formats, you know, it could be PowerPoint presentations, you name it. So you can also use, I'd say, you know, the nice use case here is to really show nice pictures, but you could use this functionality as well from, you know, for different formats as well.
Yeah.
And maybe the other thing, Steffi, I have a question too, and I actually know the answer, but I'm sure you guys are wondering this as well. So what in terms of restrictions, you know, you did mention you can create collections and share them individually if you wanted to. I know that we're able to, there are things like, you know, resizing pictures, a big topic. So you can actually internalize that process as well. That's something we have, and maybe as well, you know, things like protecting assets.
Absolutely.
So basically only being able to download elements on request. Those are functionalities that obviously you can also add to your, you know, DAM settings and things like lifecycle management, license management. I mean,
absolutely.
The list goes on and on and on. I'd say that's going to be things which we can also show you, but obviously we need to show you an overall picture of the DAM. So that's something we're not going to, you know, go into too much detail now, but obviously that functionality is available as well.
Yeah, and as Oliver said, like, we wouldn't go into that much detail now, but again, it's a DAM system. We just think in our thought process, a DAM is really cool to have, but it's not a DAM alone is not enough, because, you know, what do you do with these assets now? So one would be, you know, you define it in the style guide, document it, how the pack shots or how the photography is done. The other thing you could do now, for example, we want to document all our digital parts. We haven't really touched on them yet, which is also a big part of Frontify. It's all the digital patterns, so all the things you need to create your different application, your website, etc., which you traditionally didn't have in your guidelines because it's just not working with print. So what we can do, you know, we can document them within Frontify as well, and we go even further. You know, we could then say even, you know, we have nice patterns, including that image we just saw, include that in a nice pattern, and have previews of that pattern on the different screen sizes, for example.
Like breakpoints, which again you can set in your settings, so you could really define them on that respect as well. But just, you know, adding the responsiveness of your patterns.
And this is, you know, you can have two ways. You know, we have smaller clients who would add patterns here. we have our big clients who mostly already have a development environment and they don't want to create a new one within Frontify. So what Frontify should really do is more having a window into your development environment for your non-technical people, for your BAs, your designers, your agencies. So what we do is we have a Node API. It's kind of an automated way of synchronizing your local a local development environment to Frontify and document it here in a non-technical way. So you always have the latest code here documented for reuse. So if you have a new project, you don't have to reinvent the wheel and code again the button or
yeah, and obviously you can also encourage people to reuse rather than have to reinvent and kickstart new projects every time. And again, we're getting back to this. I said that word like 5 times already, but again, it's the question of centralizing all of this and manage it within one system and not have to manage all those different elements, which again, I'd say saves a lot of time, saves a lot of frustration, and also saves a lot of cost on the long term.
Absolutely. So
in the long term,
what I do now is I quickly navigate out of here. So we have now gone from documenting your brand, documenting your logos, icons, all your digital patterns, your media assets. So now we have the fundament, we have what we want to work with, and now we want to go into design projects, for example, making them more efficient. And for that, I have the use case of creating a little project. The project is something you can create within a few clicks. What you would do here, you would base it on a guideline, but you will also invite your project group. Again, I invite Oliver to it. We have a few more special roles, like the reviewer role in here in the project, but I invite him now.
Which replaces the translator role we showed you before in the guideline.
Absolutely. We could link that also with a really cool chat tool called Slack. We do that. So you would have a Slack channel for each project, for example, to get the email flood away, for example. And here, say Oliver is now my agency, my creative agency, and I've already uploaded a briefing. And this looks like this, just a PDF briefing. And here he has read it. And what he would do now, he would go in and upload his first design because he's really quick. Let's say that to shorten that a little bit, the whole process. So I was informed now by Slack, okay, there's a design ready for me, so I should have a look at it. I don't have Sketch or any design tool on my machine, but I can have a look at it now. It looks good.
But based on what you showed us before in the guideline, and this is quite ironic, so that was a clear don't. So no
white colors, is that? Oh,
no light colors on that kind of background, so that would be a complete no-go. So obviously, Steffi, you would want to tell me this.
Yeah, so I'm gonna mark that.
So again, this is all, for facilitating what we mentioned before, the collaboration space as well, as you said, within the workspace, and this is where you can really kind of share designs and comment on them and really upload them as well to workflows, Steffi, which is something as well you can show after, but really making sure that it's not just a question of storing your elements, your assets on a repository, but it's also encouraging people to make sure that everything that's being created from a design perspective is also consistent and matches what you're promoting within your guidelines.
Absolutely. So what Oliver does now, he was talking and changing the color of it. So he went into Sketch, just hit save again, it synchronized over his latest artboard, and it's all black. For me, that's totally okay now. And I was obviously informed via Slack again. And now I want to request approval from my line manager. Please approve. It's done. Please approve. Roger. And I give him a little due date until when he has to approve that, because this campaign really has to go live. And Roger has been sent now either email or there for the request approval.
You sent him a plea, Steffi.
Yes. True. I go step out of here in my project again. This is a little bubble called workflow, sorry.
Within the workspace.
Within the workspace, yes, exactly. And this is something you might be familiar with as a Kanban lane. And there you can have all your different statuses of a normal design project. And you can then define the different statuses really easily. So you can have your customized workflow. You can reuse those templates in all kinds of projects and have a really structured way of going towards these work approval project.
And maybe just quite a good thing at the bottom we have this pop-up here, which just popped up, which is again, if there would be a new element would be added to the platform, if we were to introduce it and release it, you would also then be notified and get these kind of introduction videos, getting started with workflow. So also telling you how it works, so that you're also really involved in the whole releases and the rollouts, and if you do have any questions, obviously you've got the option here, as Steffi's showing you, to really reach out to us. It's really important that we kind of create this relationship, and you guys have got to, we've got to answer you very quickly, and that's something that we do with Intercom, which if anything's not working or it's something you think should be working differently, again, feel free to share that with our technical team.
Wow. So the asset now we talked about, if if Roger clicks on approved, it would automatically go into the approved lane or into my approved folder. And then Oliver actually could upload the actual source file, the sketch file, because now I'm going to do something with that file. So for that, I want to create a template actually for my self-service. And this is something what Oliver mentioned before. We call it the publisher. It's really a way of getting templates, define templates, rules and regulations around templates, and push it out to the self-service to enable people to create this consistent brand experience, create their own branded content. So for that, I really quickly create a template. Now Oliver would drag and drop in the sketch file. Now also InDesign is working for print related things, but we want to do the Facebook one, so we choose the Facebook one to be that one. But Frontify does now. It converts the sketch file into a Frontify template. Now the original one is kept, and we always go back to that. But I'm having no sketch on this machine now. I could open that up and can now go again into the toggle mode and define some rules and regulations about this template. So I could allow the people on the floor in the communication team to change the image, but I don't want them to change the position or the fill. If I go into the layer view, I see all the different layers, and I might want to change the summer, so they can change the text here.
So basically unlock it and enable them to edit stuff without having, without messing the whole consistency, which is guaranteed once you create a template. It's a question, I think, of making it more, in-house and not require, as Steffi mentioned, she doesn't have for example, a sketch license on your computer. So you would just basically upload the template once, and then within that template, you can really define, as Steffi's doing it here, the areas which your publishers should be able to edit. Without changing the fonts, the sizes, maybe the colors, basically still guaranteeing that consistency with your users.
And here you have also the interlink link with all the guideline components, all your colors, which you could allow or not, the typography, etc. So it's all interlinked and it all comes together now. I then can say, me as the editor, I can publish this template now, and I call it Facebook campaign, and I can also create some categories on it, maybe, and I can publish that template. Now you have to play a bit on your imagination now. I go back out into my project room, and what I would be now, I change role, or we change role, and we be now somebody from the marketing communication team. We don't have any super user rights. We want to create a new Spring Awakening campaign, for example. And we are in this project, and what we want to create is a new Facebook header, for example.
Basically create collateral without having to always involve the design team, for example.
Absolutely. We don't have Sketch or InDesign on this machine. So what we're going to create is a publication, and we can filter through, but we've already found a really nice one here. And we call that the Spring Facebook.
There's a pop-up from GoToWebinar, which is in front of it. So
so this is, I'm not
hard to take away. Yeah, basically just call it test or something.
I'm not normally that bad at spelling. And I can create that here now. And you can see if I go into the edit mode, as I can see straight away when I go into the layer mode, the 2 layers I can actually edit. The rest is locked. I can't actually do anything about them. But first of all, I definitely want to change the image. And again, what opens up here is my DAM system.
Which we saw before.
Absolutely. And because we had the girl before, we're going to use the girl again. I think it's a nice picture. And we're going to insert that image.
So I'd say Publisher, like all the other modules that Steffi's showing you, I think very intuitive. It's got to be quick and it's got to be easy, and people have got to understand it. And that also is something which we really try and achieve, regardless of which module we're working on. It's got to be, you know, intuitive and straightforward for the user.
Absolutely. Also change the text now. And I mean, I could have here now a button called request approval again, you know, could have another workflow loop running through to Oliver, my manager, who would have to approve it, spell check it or whatever. Or I could just download it as a PNG or JPEG. Obviously the InDesign file would be fully print ready, etc.
So you could generate a PDF, for example, if you uploaded an InDesign in the same way as we've done it here with a sketch file. You could then obviously generate a PDF, which you could also use for print cases.
Absolutely. So that's kind of really, we've gone from documentation, as Oliver said, through to you know, advancing the documentation with all the media assets, doing the licensing, etc., making it really easy. Then we went into the collaboration space, you know, working collaboratively on design projects, giving feedback, approval workflows, etc., and now really opening it even up further to enable anybody in the organization to create on-brand content.
And I think the idea is to really accommodate all those different elements and make sure that they're working together. Everything, you know, the whole information is based on your identity, the identity that you're managing within your guidelines. But then beside that, the whole collaboration space with the workspace, the publisher, the UI, so involving as well your developers in the whole, I'd say, branding topic is really important from the design perspective. So it's really making sure that all those different departments are working together, which again is going to increase, you know, efficiency at the workplace, and also when you start then involving more and more external users as well, those users also have the same experience. They're also able to really be involved in the whole branding discussion, and again, you know, still making sure that everything's being consistent and it's being shared as you want it to be shared, and it grows in a very, I'd say, sustainable way, and not just grows out of towards or after 6 months.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we showed you now, we just scratched the surface on functionality and everything. It's just to give you a really broad overview.
Well, we still spent the last 40 minutes showing it.
Yeah, I know. It's getting really broad.
So it's hard to find a nutshell. It's hard to really, you know, contain it to 40 minutes. We did say 45 minutes, and we're already on 42 now. Yeah. So I'm aware of we're aware of the time.
And you've got some questions.
I do have some questions that came in. There are a few things which are, you know, we obviously wanted to show which we weren't able to based on the time, but there is a few things, Steffi. There's one big topic which always comes up. It's the question of maintainability. So, you know, we don't have the guideline here anymore, but, you know, it's important that, you know, once you have a document and you start sharing it with people, that's going to be a working document which is live. And if you did want to then change, you know, logos, upload new topic content, that's something that you can also do by putting pages into draft. And then once you're happy with them, then you can publish it again, and it's going to be live again. And then if you then wanted to notify those changes, then you can use the changelog feature that Steffi quickly mentioned before.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's the first thing. Another big topic which I see here as well coming in, Steffi, and you can tell us more about this, would be obviously the question of, we talk about a cloud-based platform. So obviously, what about hosting? Maybe a bit more about security.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are a completely cloud-based solution, and it has all the advantages of a cloud-based solution. So we have kind of the smaller plans you can kind of sign up through our website. They are all hosted in the United States on the Amazon cloud, and that's all automated. Then for the bigger brands, we have different solutions, all in the cloud as well, but they have dedicated environments. There you can, or our client can really choose where they want to host the data.
And it's again very fully scalable again.
Fully scalable. These are really fully scalable. It's like you build your own house on your own ground, so you can build extension after extension. So
not have to kind of buy it as it is, like as we showed you before with all the different libraries that we have. Obviously, if you did not need all of those, then you could build your own kind of house. That's good analogy here. And then as you go along and you did want maybe say, hey, this might be something for the future, then you could also add it at a later stage. So it's really guaranteeing this modularity, which is really important.
Yeah, I mean, what you need is the guidelines to document everything. And a lot of our clients start with this and then, go from there, then into building up the media library, logo library, then go into the collaboration part, and then go into the publisher. So yeah, absolutely, totally scalable, in terms of users, in terms of storage, etc.
Yeah. Based on time, guys, I know there's a few more questions we haven't managed to go over, but there are, maybe I'm going to finish on the two really important ones. I think you mentioned the enterprise offering, obviously. That's where, fully scalable also means that you have unlimited viewers. Yeah. So that's a question that we get asked a lot. Obviously, you're limited in terms of editors within your plans, which we start at 30 with an enterprise plan. But obviously, if you wanted to share your guidelines with 50,000 employees worldwide, then that's obviously not going to, I'd say, increase your cost. But it's unlimited in that respect.
And these are registered users, so they're registered by a unique email address, so you have full control, you have full analytics, they wouldn't rise the price.
And for that quantity, I'm guessing you would want single sign-on as well.
Yes, I think you would. That's actually a good point. Yes.
We have actually run out of time, guys, so maybe the last thing I did want to say, and that's a big question I get asked a lot, is, obviously we have a customer success team as well. More than happy to jump on a call. Our customer success team are responsible for onboardings, making sure that all our clients get the most out of the tool, that they, instructed in the right way on how best to roll it out, what are the real best practice cases that we developed together with other clients. So we've also got that element, which we didn't talk about yet, but that you would as well get at enterprise, and to make sure that you guys have, well assisted in all your questions and able to really get going and not waste any time understanding how the tool works, but more like sharing it with all your viewers. I am running over, so I'm just going to finish my quick slides here. So there's the last thing. We have some best practice cases. So guys, if you're interested, just check out our website. We've got a few interesting case studies there. But also feel free to reach out to us on a personal level as well. I'm going to make sure to get back to you very quickly. This was our, the webinar is now over, but some of you might have joined our previous webinars. If you're interested to see these, you can go back to them and watch them now or at a later stage.
Sick of the two of us.
Exactly, yeah. So obviously, you can get to see some other people as well using the password at the bottom. These slides we're going to be sharing with you guys after, so that's another thing. And also, obviously, people who could not join can then see a recording of it. But from here at Frontify, maybe the last slide here is encouraging. Steffi showed you how easy it is to use, but I think it's best for you guys to really test it and see how you like it, see how it could potentially work within your organization. And if there is, if you do like it, then we get in touch and we can discuss it and discuss your specific use case. But don't hesitate to sign up for a trial, and you can really experience Frontify firsthand. Yeah,
and if you want to contact Oliver, it's oliver@frontify.com or Stephanie@frontify.com, but we send you all the contact details.
Exactly.
So, they are there.
Sorry. Yeah, Russian is. Okay, so from our side here in St. Gallen, it's now dark outside.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for joining.
Thanks a million
we look forward to the next webinar.
Yeah, absolutely.
And stay in touch and speak soon.
Bye-bye. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.